You're listening to the Everyday Determinator podcast, brought to you by Anne O'Caffer of the Determinator Collective.
Hello, Determinators, and welcome to the Everyday Determinator podcast. In this episode, I'm talking to Telma Sanchez, who's a bilingual life coach who's based in Arizona. She helps clients to maximize their time so that they can be energized and to basically enjoy their desired life. And her specialism is towards time management, but with self-reflection and accountability being her bag. While our client base is mainly busy working parents, I think we can all learn something from the lessons that she will share with us today in time management. So hi, Telma, it's great to have you here with us today on the Everyday Determinator podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
You're very welcome. It's great to have you with us. So I understand your journey into this sort of time management space kind of started, I think, when you had some change in your life. I think you became a parent, and you kind of noticed that people in your circle and in your community were kind of getting burnt out a little bit because they were prioritizing everything else apart from themselves. And obviously self-care, people we forget about that. We're bad at that. We do everything else for everyone else. We're everything else to everybody else, and we forget about ourselves sometimes. So do you want to give us a little background about you and your journey up until this point of becoming into this time management space?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have actually worked for corporate for quite a long time, and I have been in spaces in which time management, project management, and a timeline is really like our go-to when it comes to getting to the goal, completing a project, releasing it. And I'm glad that this whole time in corporate has served me well. But yes, I definitely became a life coach fully after I became a parent, because that was one of the biggest changes in my life after years and years of just being comfortable and being like on a good routine and having a good grasp on what I'm doing, how to get there and stuff. The moment that I met my daughter, everything kind of changed. My priorities, my dreams, my fears, and with that came a reflection of I'm meant to be doing more, or I am here to protect them and to provide for them, because I have two babies, one back to back. So it was like a change, and I never really found like a normal. And in the process of trying to find a new normal is when I got deep into I have always been into self-development, but I got really deep into the life coaching because I noticed that I wasn't the only one struggling with that. I was paying close attention how I was really close to burnout, and so was everybody else in my household. And therefore, a lot of the friends that I spoke with, that I finally felt that I had to say something because I was struggling, felt it too, which is why I started kind of concentrating on like, okay, how can we get out of here? How can we start making time for ourselves so we can better provide for our kids? How can we make sure that we're loving ourselves so we can love better, not just your kids, but your partner, your friends, any relationship that you're on? They're definitely going to feel the burnt out that you are experiencing by how you're reacting and treating them and the relationships that you're having. So I concentrate mostly on busy working parents because that's what I can really relate. That's what really like switch my gears. But yes, the time management is something that can definitely help anybody that is willing to pay attention and become aware of how tiny little habits can, good or bad, can really make a change into your everyday life.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I really related to I've come across with doing the research for today was that you said that time is our most valuable resource, yet we use it, and it's the most sought after thing. You ask anybody what they want, everyone wants more time. but we use it so badly in the little that we do have, you know. And if it was any other resource, you know, if it was gold or if it was, you know, money, we kind of hold on to it a little bit more, whereas time, we just kind of scatter it about, and we don't really manage it in the same way a lot of the time than what we do other resources. And that was quite a useful thing, and quite an eye-opening thing when you think about it in that sort of way. We do need to have a better grasp on it. We don't treat our money in the same way that we treat time. And I think if we had that same sort of management around it, people would benefit much more. And I think, you know, what you've said in there, you know, it comes to pain points. You know, we get to a point where, you know, we're not doing the things that we want to do, or we're not feeling the things that we want to feel. So why did we get to this stage in the first place?
Why and how we get there, it's a very personal journey, but the reason behind it is because we're trying to keep up, and we're trying to put everybody in front of our needs, and the more that you put out there, the more that people are going to take, because it's a human nature, right? If you give, people are going to take. It doesn't come naturally to like give. So that's exactly why it's so important that you put yourself first, because nobody else is going to be able to put you first unless you teach them how, unless you show them how. And so it's a cycle that many of us jump in, and before we know it, I don't think anybody voluntarily signs up into this cycle of like more, burnt out, survival mode. But we get there, and we don't even realize until sometimes health lets us know, or body or mind or soul has like a way of communicating. Instead of staying aware of our whole body or mind or thoughts or emotions or health, how we're feeling, are you exhausted? All of those are hints telling you that something has to change, that something is not necessarily flowing correctly, and it's not necessarily serving you. So it can be a very, very different journey, and it can be a very personal journey, but the overall idea falls into the fact that you put others first and you're not taking care of yourself. And yes, time, that's one of my most favorite quotes, because yes, time is what we want the most. Like if you talk with 1 million people, one of their biggest pain points is going to be like, I don't have time. And then when you start digging into a little bit deeper and you ask them, well, walk me through a day, you know, sometimes they cannot even do that because they're not aware how their time is just running away. We all have the exact same 24 hours a day, and it's exactly how you use them that is going to make you and give you the opportunity to be more aware, and therefore the ability to manage it to where it serves you and your loved ones a little bit more.
I think it is, you know, it's down to a choice in what we prioritize sometimes, isn't it? You know, we quite often, our go-to is, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for exercise. I don't have time for, actually, if it's important to you, you do find time. You know, if you prioritize these things and put them in an order, and that's what you're talking about in terms of self-reflection and actually understanding what you do with your time currently and the things that you need to prioritize, and actually finding time, because I think we can all find time, you know, a little bit of something. You know, we're all guilty, I think, sometimes of, you know, sitting in front of Netflix a bit too long, or, you know, doing something that maybe doesn't really give us that sort of fulfillment that we're looking for. But we go to these sort of habits because we don't feel great, you know, because we're feeling burnt out. So we sit in front of the telly and binge watch something on Netflix, or, you know, we take a bit longer doing other things because we don't feel great, or we're, you know. So I think if we sort of reorganize our bucket of things, you know, and say this is what we want to do, and you put these things first, then actually you do have time for them because you've reprioritized them. Is that something you found to be true?
Yeah, absolutely. But I think that before you can get to priorities, another one of my favorite quotes is, if you don't have time for it, it's because it's not a priority. Yeah. It's true. It's true. It's hard to hear, but it's true. Like, we don't make the time for things that are not important to us. We won't make it. even make our calendar, even ever make a presence, and it's not gonna just show up out of nowhere like an Amazon package and say, here I am because you needed me, like it doesn't work that way. But yes, absolutely. I feel, however, that the very first thing that you really want to pay close attention to, it's how you're using your time, because that consciousness and that is going to raise awareness, and that awareness is when you can actually say things for what they are, and then you can start realizing, oh my gosh, this is how I'm using my time. This is why I am so tired. A lot of people, if I ask them like, well, how long do you sleep? They were like, oh, 6 hours. I'm exhausted. I was like, yeah, you should probably sleep, 7 to 8. But why are you sleeping 6? And they cannot necessarily tell me why. They are just like, well, the kids, then dinner, then I had to clean up, and they have all these to do things, but they don't necessarily know how long it takes them. So that's why I created like a tiny free tool. It's on my website, but it's just to raise that awareness. It's for you to write down exactly what you do in a day, because that way you can start recognizing the patterns. Like, are you scrolling on Instagram for 20 minutes? Are you watching Netflix more than one episode? Are you just binge watching? Are you cooking for 45 minutes on something that you could make on 20 minutes? It's that awareness and that realization of how you're using your time that is going to allow you to be aware and therefore make different decisions. Now, they don't have to be drastic, big decisions, right? Because those never stick. They're so scary, and you're pretty much setting yourself up for failure. But your number one step should be awareness. However you want to write it down in your phone, print out the freebie in my website, in any page, just write the time and the things that you're doing. And then the next day, review those activities. What gave you energy? What didn't? What was purely a waste of time? And then start noticing in 3 days, what is a bad habit that you probably have?
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a joke, and I don't know if it's where you're from, but here in the States, guys are known to stay in the bathroom for forever because that's probably where they're watching the TV, right? Especially if you're a parent and you're a guy. I don't mean to call you out, but it's been known that that's like a relaxation time. But are you really relaxing? Are you really, is it really allowing you to recharge? And if it is, great, keep it. Then it's not a bad habit.
Yeah.
But if it's not, if it's just one more thing that you do that is not serving you, that awareness is going to help you make the decision of, I'm going to try something new. And it can be so tiny, something that takes you 15 seconds. And that's how you, I don't know if you guys have read the book of Tiny Habits, but it's tiny little changes that you make on your everyday life that is going to take you to where you have a little bit more control of your time, and slowly you're implementing these things that are actually getting you to how you want to use your time.
Yeah, and it's, you don't have to, change everything overnight. I think that's one of the important things, because I think people feel quite daunted at the fact that, you think, oh, well, I kind of need to change how I'm operating, and that can be quite a daunting thing to do. But the important thing with something like this is small changes make big differences with this sort of thing. And they come out, you can implement one small change this week and maybe add something in next week and slowly build it, Would you agree with that?
Very, very small changes, they take time. Habits take time to reestablish. Now, you said something very interesting, because it's true. We the moment that we realize, oh my gosh, I binge watch Netflix for 3 hours. This is terrible. That's not awareness. That's judgment. Yep. That's almost punishment to yourself. Now, I'm here to confess, I just binge watch on the weekend Yellowstone, and I don't have 1 gram of guilt about it, because I loved it. It recharged me. I totally got into it. I must know what happens. It filled me up, and my body needed it. My body needed me to just sit there and let go of thoughts, let go of responsibilities, just be. And in that case, it served me, right? So I don't do it often. If it becomes a habit, then my house is never going to get clean. But if it's an every now and then thing, and you realize how you feel after and you're feeling good, then it's serving you.
Absolutely.
When you're noticing that you're not getting the stuff that you need done. Awareness and judgment are two very different emotions. Yeah. Awareness is going to serve you and allow you to make a choice. Judgment is going to push you back into this wall where you feel like you must change everything at once. And the attitude and the emotion attached to those feelings and those thoughts are not going to serve you. And you're pretty much putting yourself up for failure that is going to be like another cycle, not survival cycle, but like a self-punishment one, which is worse because it's not taking you closer to your goal, and you're just continually feeding yourself negative thoughts. So awareness is the thing that you need to work on. If you find yourself judging yourself, realize that you're human, you're not alone. A lot of people do it, and therefore, now that you're aware, you can make tiny decisions, tiny little changes that you can stay consistent on to make big, important impacts. But nothing changes overnight.
Absolutely. And I think it's about people realizing that, we're not here to say, oh, you should never sit on Netflix and binge watch something. Like you say, if it served you and it's made you feel good and that's what you needed that day, then that is perfectly a good thing to do, and that is valid, to take those choices to give yourself that sort of energy or, just that downtime. And that's great. It's like you say, when it becomes habitual and you're doing it all the time and you're not getting things done, that's when, you might want to think that you become aware to make a different choice. And sometimes we get into these habitual cycles and we don't even realize we're there until we actually look inwards or maybe do what I know you've got the challenge you said on your website, the 3-day sort of challenge that'll help people to just identify these, because I think sometimes we just get so stuck going through the motions. We don't even know we're doing it half the time. We know we're doing it, but we don't realize that that's actually contributing to this vicious cycle we're in until we actually sort of look at it objectively from a different point of view, from that sort of outward point of view, saying, oh, well, did it make you feel good? No, I still feel really rubbish and I've still got my list of stuff to do, and I've not got anything done. My house is a mess and I've not, the cat's moaning to be fed, and you've got all this sort of list, other sort of noise going on that you need to get done, and it's not made you feel good, so then it's like, well, why do we do it? And I think then you have that sort of conversation with yourself, I guess, or someone like you, like a life coach and accountability person, to understand, the changes that you could make, So what would you say some of those changes that we can, how do we get out of this sort of cycle? What are some of the small things that we can do to start managing our time more efficiently?
That's a great question. And I feel like time and mind are very attached together. If you have always told yourself, I don't have time, that's the first thing that you have to do is to stop saying that. And when you notice yourself saying that, just say, I don't have time for it yet. I don't have it on my calendar yet. And then slowly take it out of your vocabulary, because if you're constantly saying, don't, I don't have time, it's kind of like, I don't have money. Like you're just calling it upon to yourself, right? So just don't. Now, we all have the to-do list. And if you're a big fan, I am too. Absolutely. Write it all down. But you know that you're not a superhero, and neither am I. We're human and we all have the same 24 hours. So pick one thing. What is the one thing that you're gonna really finish today? What is the one thing that if you do finish it, is gonna help you feel like you succeeded, like you accomplished something? For me, I have noticed that when I get the thing that I'm like not wanting to do, I don't like it, I don't enjoy it, but I know it's important. Like if I start with that one, the moment that I finish it, I'm like, oh my God, first of all, it wasn't even that hard. Sometimes it takes me the time that I think it's going to take. Sometimes it takes me longer. So now I have a better idea on how to estimate so I can time block correctly, which is a whole different theme on time management. And then now I can move on, but I'm already in a productive mindset. I already got something done. So set up yourself for success. Tell yourself, I'm going to have a great day. I'm going to do 2 important things today, or start with 1. And if the dishes are important to you, when are you going to do this? In the morning? Like, when do you have the most energy? if it's going to require a lot of mindset, when are you fully, when can you concentrate into this one single task? That's another big thing that I highly, highly recommend. Single task. I know that the world gives awards and encourage you multitasking, but your brain is not. You have a right and a left, and they have to be in connection in order to actually function correctly. So if you're trying to have the left into many thoughts and the right one trying to do this one thing, you're not doing it at the best of your ability, and you're probably not gonna you're gonna take longer because you're not concentrated, because you're thinking of a million things. So if you single task and say, for 5 minutes, I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna brain dump your thoughts, your to-do list, your feelings, whatever you want, that releases off a lot of stress. And from there you can say, I've been thinking a lot about this dish that I really, really want to make. All right, today I'm going to make that dish. And that's the only thing that really matters, because then you start setting up yourself for I can do the things that I say to myself. The moment that you start realizing it, that you have the capacity to keep your word to yourself, you start building a momentum and a confidence to where you start feeling that you have time for the things that matter. You are making the time for that dish, for that email that you need to write, for that conversation that you're meant to have, whatever is being, maybe you've been procrastinating on, or you've been putting it off for a while, but it's still out in your mind. You should probably start with that task.
I think I really relate to that, because I know when I do things, I'm a to-do list fan. I like writing it all down and seeing what I've got to do. And I generally have, lists for different durations. So I'll maybe have just a general list of things that are in my mind that I need to get done. And then generally every week I'll look at those and, sort of identify what I need to do each week, and maybe then split it down into what I need to do each day. So it's quite a methodical kind of, bit by bit kind of thing. And that's something I've learned. It's not always been that way. But again, it's through this sort of self-reflection of what do you need to do. And people always say to me, I don't know how you manage to do everything you can, but it's time management, and it's just breaking it down into small chunks. They often laugh at me because instead of using a diary, what I use is an appointment book from the hairdressers have. So it's everything for 15 minutes, because one of the things I found when I was looking into my journey was that sometimes that, if I had something in the diary for an hour, and it only took maybe half an hour, then I would just kind of waste that other time, because I'd be like, oh, well, I don't need to do the next thing until, maybe 4 o'clock, and you would kind of just waste that other time. So I actually found breaking my time down into smaller chunks helped me to not waste such big chunks, and it's, I still take a break, and I make sure I've got all these things in there. But that was just something that I personally identified. And I think as well, you said do the hard thing first. We once we do that as well, you build that momentum, but you also think, oh, well, if I can do that, then maybe I can get a couple other things done. And it really motivates you, doesn't it? And there's really something to be said for having something ticked off on the to-do list, or a score through it. And you think, oh, right, okay. And if you do that really difficult one, or the thing that you really aren't looking forward to, then everything else almost seems easy in comparison. So you kind of get you get into a bit of a roll, don't you, after that? And it does seem to to sort of motivate you into right, okay, well, I'll get another couple of wee things off, and by that point you've maybe done half your list, but and it's better than you were yesterday, because you've not done not done any. So it makes a difference if you find what works for you, doesn't it?
No, yeah, absolutely. And you're going to find that if you're not a to-do list person and you write one, you might feel overwhelmed, which is why you can think of it as a brain dump. I'm just letting it go. I'm releasing my brain, and then I'm going to pick one activity. Now, you referred to time blocking, which is a beautiful tool, which means is picking one task and attaching it to the one time, from 9 to 10, I'm going to record this podcast, and I have no distractions, no other appointments. I'm not waiting for, it's just, you have my mind, my body, my presence, my thoughts. I'm fully here. Presence is going to allow you to really give yourself and the task your best. which is gonna allow it's gonna make you feel good. Like when you finish it, especially if it's a hard one, you feel like yeah. And I swear that mindset, that confidence, it almost buys you like another hour because you're so pumped up. You're just like, oh my gosh, okay, now I can do that. And the other one, and it's flow, and that's the momentum that you want to get to. But like I said, time blocking has to be attached to a task, because a lot of us also do, like you said, from 9 to 10, but then it takes you 30 minutes. So for the other 30 minutes, you're like, oh, well, then no, that's exactly when you jump to the next one, or just say, okay, for 20 minutes, I'm going to stretch. I'm going to do something out of my comfort zone, something that keeps the momentum going, that it keeps you going, that it keeps you motivated. You don't, and now what you learn next time that you have to do that task, oh, it's not 40 minutes. It only takes me 15 when I really concentrate. Yeah. So you have to pay attention on how you're using your attention, if you're really giving yourself the time and being present with it. So yes, time blocking is a great, amazing, beautiful tool if you use it right. If you don't, then you're adding more breaks into your calendar, and then you wonder why you only got one thing done, right? So
that's what I can really relate to that, because that's where I came from, was, putting things in and then it not taking as long, and you sitting there and then, losing the momentum and wasting the time, really, but it takes a bit of, uncomfortable looking at yourself, and just to understand that, because like I say, I did it, but I didn't really realize. I thought, oh, well, I'm time blocking and I'm doing all this stuff. I'm putting, I'm assigning time to tasks and things, but actually I was being quite wasteful with some of my time, because I was wasting, but if it took less time, I was wasting that, and now I understand that, and I understand that about myself, and I can, like you say, I'm looking at tasks, I do that with work as well, things that you think are going to take, an hour, maybe only take 40 minutes or 30 minutes, and you can really start to then understand, when I give this my full attention, it takes me half an hour. You can then start using your time more efficiently in that way. And actually, some days, well, I'm feeling a bit off today, it maybe does need an hour, so I set aside an hour. And then you're not, the other side of that, because we have the times where we're not feeling as great. And right. I think it's important to recognise that that's okay too. We don't need to be like 100 miles an hour, squeezing everything into the shortest times, if all the time. While that's great and it helps us be productive and get stuff done, sometimes we need to realize that we need a bit more time. There'll be times when you don't feel that great, or maybe things aren't going, I don't know, maybe you're having an off day or something, and you think, well, actually I'm going to take an hour over that, just to give myself a little bit of space and a little bit of grace, and then you don't feel so rushed at the other side.
Well, it goes, yes, absolutely. And it goes back to awareness. You have to be aware, not only of your calendar, but of how you're feeling, of what is going on in your mind, in your body. Yeah, if you're training for a half marathon, like, it's kind of like goal setting. We have this big goal, right? I'm gonna run a half marathon. I'm gonna write a book. It's a big goal, but like you said, you have to break it into tiny chunks, which is time blocking for writing or time blocking for training and going for different runs. But let's say that your calendar's already made and you're fabulous at time blocking, and you just know that tomorrow I have to train or I have to write because I'm chasing this big goal. Then you wake up and you have a head cold and your body hurts and you cannot even think straight. You don't even know what your name is. You feel just sick. Then that awareness of like, I'm not feeling myself. So then, oh my gosh, you have two choices. Start judging yourself like, oh my gosh, I have all these things to do. I just have to get through it. Or honor and respect yourself and show yourself love and compassion and grace, and say, not today. Today, my body really just needs me to stay here for 5 more minutes as I redo how I'm going to get through what I can get through today. How much capacity do I have? Can I take a medicine and feel better? Like a painkiller and feel better? Do I just need to drink water? Or do I that awareness takes you from judging yourself and forcing yourself to go into the go to like, not today. If I do it tomorrow when I'm fully in a different space, then it will only take me half an hour. Versus if I force myself today, or I really need to get it done, then I'm going to give myself the grace and the compassion to take the time, do it as I can. Like, I'm still gonna give it my best, but my best today is not the best as when I'm not sick, right?
No,
Just so
absolutely.
be aware. Yeah, be aware. Stay aware of like how you're talking to yourself and how much you're pushing yourself, because then is sometimes that calendar or that agenda can really put a pressure and even bring you anxiety. And that is not meant to be the point of time management. Time management is to ease your life, to ease your thoughts, to give you guidance, to know that a goal is not meant to overnight, that you can break it into small steps to allow you for more time and space to create it, not the opposite. So if it's giving you anxiety, it's not your tool, and we can find a different one that works better for you, because not everybody's into time blocking. Not everybody's into the sticky notes give them like a makes them dizzy and they completely feel overwhelmed, and then when your body jumps into that fight or freeze, or then you're not necessarily functioning at your best capacity.
And I think it takes a little bit of experimentation as well to find out what works for you. I went for the time blocking because I was into the bad time blocking, so it made sense for me to shift that into good time blocking that now does serve me. But other people will find different methods and different ways. Some people might want to use online calendars or, whatever works for you. And I think that's the important thing as well about this is it's not one size fits all with time management. It is very personal because we all have different demands on our time in terms of what we need to prioritize. Parents have children that need to be looked after, and some people have caring obligations out with their home, or we have different demands in terms of jobs or responsibilities, businesses, whatever. So it isn't one size fits all, and I think there's lots and lots of different ways that you can do these time management exercises. There's different approaches, and it's finding something that really just works for you, your personality, and actually the demands that you have in your life, really, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So for example, I have a to-do list and I'm a big fan, but my to-do list changes on a daily basis. So like on Friday, I compile everything that I really want to get done that weekend. And I do weekends and then I will do weekdays, because my weekends are completely different because I don't have work. I'm fully responsible of my kids. I don't have like any assistance. So it changes. So as your reality changes, you need to respect the season in life, the time of your, like who needs you in your A game. Is it just about you? Can you be selfish and take the whole morning off? Or do you need to? Can you ask for help? Like, you have to be fully aware and give you that space and to better serve. But so mine, just to give you a quick idea of a few options that you could do, is Friday I schedule and I pick my big takeaways for the weekends. Like my daughter is playing soccer, so making it into practice is a big deal. I want to make it on time. I would like her to have breakfast before it. So therefore, I don't necessarily have the time for a morning routine, or I can wake up before they do and take the time for my morning routine, which right now I'm training, so I should probably do it. So I have to make all these decisions, right? Or I just want to stay, like on Friday night, I want to watch a movie and I want to sleep in because I had a long week. You can decide. But once you make that decision, it's a decision. It's still not like a commitment. You did not sign an agreement. Nobody's going to sue you. It's just a guidance for you to have like, okay, today I really want to do this. And sometimes you can kind of pre-plan. If my kid has soccer, I'm going to put the jersey out in the kitchen so I don't forget it, because if I wait until the last minute, I can never find anything. For some reason, it kind of disappears. It hides. It's weird. So it's just tiny little things. And then on Sunday night or Monday morning, I take the time to be like, what are the big things that I want to accomplish this week? When am I really blocked that I need to make sure kids are taken care of? What do I want to eat? Because knowing what I'm going to eat for the week, do I have it in the fridge, gives me a huge peace of mind that I'm not going to be scrambling or hungry. Nobody wants to be hungry. Yeah. So it's just like the little things that are really important. And I don't try to do everything in one day. I just kind of have an idea. And then I start splitting it. Well, Wednesday, I have some time here, so I'll put it here. And then Monday comes and I'm sick. Then I adjust, And if I'm great, then perfect. And if I finish my Monday task and I look at Tuesday, I was like, I can probably knock that one off today. Because my Mondays are very productive, but my Thursdays, no, not so much.
Yeah. But I think that's part of the awareness of knowing yourself and knowing what works for you and your flow and where you're at in life, you know, at this moment, you know, maybe you're studying or maybe you're working and studying or maybe you've got a new baby or, you know, so it's about understanding where you are at this moment in time and what works for your timetable. You know, some people's timetable is get up a little bit early and do a little bit in the morning. Some people is, you know, I'll do a little bit on Sunday night. You know, I like to plan on a Sunday night too, because it gives me that sort of like everything, you know, it's like what we said before, the brain dump, it's out on the page and I don't need to think about it. I'm not sitting thinking on Sunday night, like, what do I need to do? Because it's there and it's all just ready. And then I feel like on a Monday, I can be quite productive as well because I, you know, sort of hit the ground running because my list is all there and I know what I'm doing. What you say, there's that ability to always readjust and to, you know, to be gracious with yourself and just say, you know, actually you don't feel like that today or you don't feel well, or, you know, something's taking a little bit longer. And that's fine. And you can move things about. You, like you say, it's not a contract. It's just a guide. It's and, you know, a plan of how you can achieve what you need to achieve within the week. So I know you offer a few different services. Would you like to give us a little bit of an overview on those and how they would maybe help other people with this sort of...
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, but before we get to that, I just want to comment on what you just said, because I feel like we have been tiptoeing through the whole conversation. We are touching about time management and little tiny tools for Switch that can help you add that into your life. But before you can add into your life, you have to add to yourself. So self-care is first and foremost. You have to find time or ask for support so you can have that ability to fill up your own cup. Because if you're going to have this week, if you want to have this big goal, if you want to get to all these things, you can, as long as you're taking care of yourself, because that is super important. It goes hand in hand. So I just wanted to make sure that I know we kind of said it indirectly, but I literally want to put it out there. You need to take care of your time, of yourself first, to then take care of your time, to then take care of everything else. So it starts with yourself. I feel better. I was like, I feel like we should probably just clarify. But so that's kind of what I mean when I say that I concentrate on time management, self-reflection, and accountability, is really looking at yourself and how you're going about different things. What triggers you and might put you into a fight emotion to where you're just not necessarily bringing up your best, or you might be reacting versus responding. So I work a lot on that mindset piece of things, on where you are, and never with judgment, because this is just to improve yourself. So it's to raise awareness. I really think that's that number one thing to any change, is that awareness is a gift. So you can actually start making a choice in the right direction. Time management comes naturally. It's a tool, it's processes, it's tiny little switches, consistent, that can make you get to your life of desire. And it's accountability, because sometimes we all need that reminder, or maybe we need that person holding a mirror to yourself and I'll say, have you noticed how this is making others feel? Have you not, like, what we forget to take a good look at the mirror and say, how am I showing up today? How am I making others feel? Or am I just thinking of myself? So it's all compiling mind, body, and soul to where you can come up with things that work for you, to get to the life that you want. Not the life that you think you need, not the life that everybody's expecting you, not the life that is just providing for your family. No, it's a life that you want to live, and therefore you're going to show up better for.
Could you maybe give us an example of maybe a time when a client has really excelled with some of the lessons that you've given? You know, maybe they've taken on board this and they've had a great success.
Yeah, for sure. Like, when I say busy working parents, a lot of us have like that guilt of like, well, I work and my kids need you, and they feel like they just have to be everything for everybody. And I have helped a lot of busy working moms find time for a morning routine, find time because one wanted to become a runner, and they're just like, no, but I work, I have kids, I have to do drop off, I have to. And after looking at their time, we found time for her to run, and she completed a half marathon. I thought that was amazing. I have helped guys that felt like they just had to provide and kept moving up in the work, to also find like a hobby for themselves that they can share with their kids if they wanted to, but that they can allow for them to fill themselves up and so therefore show up. So sometimes it can be as little as finding hobby and the time for it, and also learning how to communicate with others. So because I work so much on mindset, I have also helped a few people with a relationship with themselves, with their worth, and their relationship with money or a scarcity mindset and stuff like. So if this person went from always thinking that she was never going to make enough money to feeling brave to apply for this one position that she thought it was the job of her life, and she got the job and then realized it's not the job of my life, but I'm so proud that she was able and brave enough to ask for what she thought she was worth, because she was in a whole different mindset. Yeah. So time management is just one of the things that I concentrate on, but again, it's attached to mindset. So anything that is related to that. I
think I'm also time for ourselves, we have a better relationship with ourselves, and we're able to have the space then to grow and to think about the things that we want, because when we're so busy on this sort of like hamster wheel of just, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, you don't have that really space to really understand what it is you want to do, or what would be, the job that you want to apply for. You don't really give yourself that space to grow and to have that good relationship with yourself and others either, really.
Yeah, some people don't even give themselves the permission to have a dream. So if I could challenge your audience today, I would just like to ask you to describe the dream day. If everything went perfect, if everything went great, what would you be doing? What would you be eating? What would you be wearing? How would you be moving around? How would you treat others? How would you feel? And write it all down. And then you can start getting a little closer to this, like, what can I do to get me there? But a lot of my clients get stuck with that one homework. They're just like, wait, I already have a house. Like, no, if you could just dream with no restrictions, and money was not a thing, and, dream wildly to allow yourself to start thinking and seeing possibilities that you forgot to give yourself permission for.
Yeah. No, I think we're all guilty of that. So you mentioned self-care and prioritizing yourself. So can I ask, what do you do to prioritize yourself? I know you love dancing, and you said that you were training as well. So are those the types of things that you would be doing in your prioritization for Telma time?
For Telma time, yeah, that's such a beautiful concept. Telma, I have 2 toddlers at home, so I definitely wake up before they do, because that way there's no reason for interruption. I go for a run, because right now I'm training for a half marathon, or workout of any kind to start sweating. That allows me to then sit down and journal. I'm a big believer, even though, to be completely honest, I resisted it for a long time. I was like, nah. But actually, by putting it pen on paper has really served me well. So journaling is a big part of my morning practice. I make myself like I'm a huge fan of shakes, like, because I just like tasting it. I know exactly what I'm putting into my body, especially after a workout, and it makes me feel like I'm setting myself up for a good, strong day. Like I'm giving myself the nutrients that I really need. So those are the big: working out, journaling, and like a big breakfast shake, as I am. Part of my journaling is gratitude. So I think of 3 things that happened the day before that I'm super grateful for. Not the cliche ones of like my health, my family. Of course, we're grateful for them, and I'm glad that you're accounting them. But 3 things that happened the day before that you're just like, oh my God, I got to see the sunset. That was awesome. Yeah. I don't really get a chance often, or my puppy and I got to go for a run together, and like this quality time with my puppy. Great. Like specific things that brought joy, because the moment that you start looking for those, you start finding more and more and more and start moving those. But yes, that's kind of like my Telma time.
Awesome, I love it. It's very similar to I do the gratitude thing. I'm very much in the space at the moment of resisting the journaling, but it's something that I want to. I've been resisting it for a long time, but the more and more I hear other people, having benefited from it, the more and more. So I've actually got a journal ready to start, and I'm starting it in the holidays. I'm not waiting until the 1st of January. I'm going to start in the holidays, and try it and see if it works for me, because I'm a big believer about the experimentation and finding what works for you. So I'm going to give it a bash and see how I get on. So what's next for you? In terms of what do you want to be doing in the next couple of years? What's your vision for Telma and your business for the next couple of years?
Well, for my business, I definitely want to grow my life coaching business. It's been such a joy, and it's my passion to help others. And there's something so beautiful about seeing when something clicks, or when that awareness gets to it, and when you forgive yourself for things that really have hold you back. It makes me so happy that I'm super passionate about it. So that's definitely where I'm going on the business side of things. We have a retreat coming up that I planned with a nutritional holistic coach. I teamed up with her so we could help women rediscover themselves and just give themselves that time, learn from it, and therefore they can take some tools to take home. That's in February. And then I want to start a group coaching session next year, and I'm super excited about that. And obviously I'm still a mom, I'm still Telma. Yep. So I'm huge on taking trips with my kiddos to see them play with the snow or see something new, and with the holidays, and hopefully we can find some snow close by. But just creating awesome memories, just making sure that I'm making the time for what really, really matters to me, which are those moments where I'm like, oh my God, this is what I live for. So especially on the holidays, we get so overwhelmed with family and the gifts and is Santa coming, all the things. But it's just, aside from all of that, making sure that I'm taking quality time with my loved ones.
That sounds amazing. Could you just share maybe your top 3 tips? I think you mentioned your first one is definitely the awareness, and we spoke a lot about that this evening, but what would be your top 3 tips for someone who's looking to get their time management situation sorted out? What would you say to them?
Definitely awareness, but go at it with an open mind. Make sure that you are willing to try different things until you find what works better for you. Your body's going to tell you, your energy level is going to tell you what's working best for you. So just go at it stay curious. Like, I wonder if I can do this. Don't try to do everything in your to-do list. A to-do list is a brain dump. And then you can circle, if you're such an overachiever, up to 3 things that you really want to accomplish. And then if you can attach a time to it, where from 9 to 10, I'm going to do this, or considering your energy level. So like, I'm not going to read in the morning because it actually makes me pretty relaxed. So I read at night. And that took me a long time to realize. So realize that you're going to change. And then if your life changes, like when I had kids, that it was an upside down type of deal, give yourself the grace to acknowledge that it's a phase and you're going to get through it. And nothing urgent, like writing a to-do list and committing to a priority is not a contract. So it's still, just give yourself the compassion to realize that you're not perfect. And do not multitask. Do not multitask. Just don't do it. If you think that you're multitasking and you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm doing 3 things at once, I'm gonna be the main person to tell you the truth. You're not doing neither one of them at your best capacity. And it might not come to you soon, but eventually it's gonna catch up to you. Your brain is not made for that. Nobody's brain, not only yours, nobody's. So that would be my top 3.
Amazing. There are some great tips there. Where can our guests find you and connect with you online if they'd like to know more? I know you mentioned your website, and you've got some free resources on there that will actually help people to start this journey in terms of awareness. So where can they find you on your website and on socials online if they would like to learn more or connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is telmasanchez.com, and that's where you can find a lot about me and the free resources. One of them is the awareness tool, and it's a 3-day challenge. You can use it as much as you want until you feel comfortable and a good grasp of what's serving you. And then a reflection so you can realize where your energy is at. And then on social media, obviously my website is very business related. But my personal, if you want to see everything and anything when it has to do with me, is on Instagram at Telma SMV as in vacuum. Telma SMB. And I have a YouTube channel where when I do lives or when I interview somebody or I have amazing conversations, I do try to add them there so people can just find them if they're interested.
Awesome. Well, we will share those links in the show notes that will accompany this episode so that our listeners can be directed to them easily enough and they can find you and use the resources that you've got available to them.
Yeah.
So
and reach out if you have any questions, if you're feeling stuck, reach out. Like, don't ask for help. We're here to support you. That is my passion. So don't feel like there's string attached. Just we're here to help. And so if you need the support, ask for it.
Awesome. That's really kind, Telma. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your insights into time management and how we can use this valuable resource that we all have much more efficiently than what we maybe are doing at the moment. You are remarkable. So guys and girls, whether you're bouncing back or storming forward, the Determinator Collective is here for you. Stay remarkable, Determinators.
Thank you so much.